Okay, very good morning, dear students. Um, the second part of our third unit. In the first part, we have seen about what are mass spectrometers, what are the types of mass spectrometers. Okay, that's what we have seen in our first part of the third unit. So, as a continuation, the second part of the third unit is about measurement of radiation. Measurement of radiation. Okay, how to measure radiation. So before we actually go into measurement of radiation, we are going to see what this radiation is. Okay, normally a radiation is emitted by a radioactive substance. It is emitted by a radioactive substance. Okay, so as the name indicates, it's radioactive. See the term, it is active. Okay, which indicates that it emits radiation. So a substance, if it is radioactive, what it means is it's unstable. Okay, it's unstable. If you see a person who is stable, how he will be looking? He'll be very peaceful. Okay, rather if a person is unstable, his mind is disturbed, how he will act? Okay, he'll be very confused, right? So if you have a normal person who is stable, how the person will act? So he'll be very peaceful, he will talk very quiet. Okay, rather if you take an unstable person, unstable in the sense it may be due to emotions, it may be due to his current situation. So what is the kind of scenario you will expect from him? He will be always confused. Okay, if anyone comes, he will get angry on that person. Okay, so always some sort of confusion exists. So what actually he is trying to do? He is trying to shed away his angry, all his emotions out, so that he tries to become stable. Okay, that is the case of any atom also. If an atom becomes unstable, it will try to give away radiation. It will instability is caused due to several factors. Once it causes instability, it tries to give away this extra energy as radiation out, so that that person tries to become a stable. That person tries to become a stable person. Okay, so that instability is, you call it as radioactive nuclei. Whenever a nuclei is unstable, it emits radiation, it's called as an radioactive nucleus. Okay, so we'll actually touch upon some of the basics of radioactivity. We all know that two basic concepts. One is atomic number, second one is mass number. So you can pause the video and you can just remember what is atomic number and what is mass number. We all know that atomic number is nothing but number of protons. Number of protons in a atomic nucleus is called as atomic number, whereas mass number is the number of protons plus the number of neutrons. So protons plus neutrons is called as mass number. Okay, now a question for you. If a particular nucleus has same, say one or two nucleus have same atomic number but different mass number, so mass number is denoted by A. Okay, different mass number, what do you call those elements? What do you call that elements? Yes, you guessed it right. It's nothing but a isotope. Excellent. Nice students, you have identified it correct. It is isotope. So isotopes are elements which have same number of protons but different atom mass numbers. They are called as isotopes. Okay, so basically if you see the isotope, if you see an isotope, it will be two versions of isotopes will be available. One is naturally abundant. You have a naturally abundant source. Second one is an unstable source. Okay, so if it is naturally abundant isotope, it will be stable. Okay, it will be stable. Okay, so sometimes we have unstable or radioactive. Okay, unstable or radioactive. Okay, so our concern is about this part, unstable nuclei. That is the concern of us now. Okay, fine. So now when I talk about instability, as I told earlier, it tries to become a unstable nuclei try to become a stable nuclei. It tries to become a stable nuclei by emitting some radiations. So the radiations are normally either it can be alpha radiation, beta radiation, or a gamma radiation. Okay, so most commonly it is either a alpha or a beta emission. Okay, it is most commonly an alpha or a beta emission. So there are some cases such as, suppose if the mass number is greater than 200, if your mass number is greater than or equal to 200, most commonly you will have alpha emission. Okay, if it is less than 200, okay, for example, if it is a neutron rich molecule or it is a proton rich molecule, okay, so in these cases it will be usually a beta emission. Okay, so we'll just look into the history of this type of radioactivity. It's quite fascinating to see who are the pioneers who have explored the field of radioactivity. Can you remember the person who invented H3? Can you remember the person who invented H3? Because that was the first kind of radiation that was studied. Can you pass and just identify who invented this H3s? Okay, you have guessed it correct. It's none other than our Roentgen. Okay, so you remember Roentgen in 1895, he was actually experimenting with cathode rays, and he accidentally came across a kind of radiation that was actually passed through his hand, and it produced X-ray. Okay, so X-ray was the first kind of radiation that was identified in 1895. Consequently, in the year 1896, we have our Henry Becquerel. Okay, Henry Becquerel. He observed that a particular salt, particularly uranium salt, okay, uranium salt, it emitted a kind of strange radiation. Okay, so he identified what is that. Actually, that is the essence of radioactivity, starting of identification of radioactivity. Okay, so and further we have something called a spontaneous emission. You might have when you have encountered a laser, you might have heard this term spontaneous emission. So this spontaneous emission of radiation is actually called radioactivity. It's actually called radioactivity. Okay, so this was actually identified by a couple, the most famous couple. You can guess their names. They are nothing but our Pierre Curie as well as Marie Curie. Excellent. Okay, so these two couples actually identified, to give a kind of appraisal to them, Curie is a unit of radiation. Okay, so spontaneous emission of radiation is called as radioactivity. So it was first identified or observed by the couple Pierre Curie and Marie Curie. Actually, they have another very important contribution to the field of chemistry. They also have identified two radioactive elements. One is polonium and another one is the one that is available in your watches which glows even in the dark. Can you guess what is it? Exactly, it is nothing but the radium. Okay, so they are the inventors of the two elements polonium and radium. Fine, good. And following this, in 1919 we have our Rutherford. Okay, Rutherford, he was doing an experiment. Actually, he was experimenting on nuclear transmutation. Okay, nuclear transmutation by using alpha particle bombardment. He came across a reaction byproduct. Okay, he was actually trying to produce an isotope, artificial isotope, but he got a stable version of isotope. It was not unstable, so his effects were not successful. Later, in 1934, we have Irene Curie. You guessed it correct. She is a daughter of Pierre Curie and Marie Curie. She is a daughter of Pierre Curie and Marie Curie, along with his husband Frederick Joliot. Frederick Joliot discovered something that actually changed the world dramatically. Okay, so it was a great invention, artificial radioactivity. Okay, so even now it has lot of advantages, a lot of medical purpose. Even nuclear medicine, they use artificial radioactivity. Okay, so artificially making an element to emit radiation. Okay, so the first element that he identified was 30P. Okay, so it's become the first artificially produced radionuclide. It was the first artificially produced radionuclide. Okay, it's the first artificially produced radionuclide. Okay, so this is the person who is credited. So actually they were awarded with the Nobel Prize in 1934. About Nobel Prize in 1934. Okay, so later in 1942, Enrico, you know about the person Fermi level. You might have studied in basic electronics. Fermi. Okay, he built the first nuclear reactor. In Chicago. Okay, so for production of radioisotopes. In fact, the isotopes that were produced were essentially important for the great bad incident, bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Okay, so that is basically a atomic bomb, right? Okay, so that's a very devastating one. Fine. So this is about quite bit of the history of radioactivity. Now we'll say some basic laws of radioactivity. Okay, so you might able to remember the first law of radioactivity, which is mathematically given as lambda n, which states that the rate of disintegration, say n is the initial number of atoms that are present. Okay, so rate of disintegration of radionuclide at any particular time is proportional to the number of atoms present at that time. Okay, so dN by dt is proportional to n. The rate of disintegration of radionuclide at any particular time is proportional to the number of atoms present at that time, and it is found to be depreciating. Okay, it is found to be decreasing, it is decaying. That's why we have a symbol minus. Okay, so if you actually take the thing, you will be getting n equal to n naught into e power minus lambda t. Okay, it is depreciating. So if suppose initially there are n naught molecules, Okay, if there are n naught molecules, it will try to reduce, okay, at the rate of n naught e power minus lambda t, okay, at the rate of e power minus lambda t. Here we introduce another parameter called as half-life. Okay, actually whenever I tell half-life, I just remember a video game I used to play in my childhood. Its name is Half-Life. Okay, so half-life is something like a time constant. So it's like what is the time taken for nearly half of the original number of atoms to get decay. Okay, so T half is given as 0.693 by 2 by lambda. Okay, so half time is given as 0.693 by lambda. Okay, so this is called as the first law of radioactivity. Okay, and as I told earlier, the units for radioactivity. So after the person Madame Curie, who actually coined the word radioactivity to give us a respect, Curie was a unit. Okay, CURIE, or the unit is CI. Okay, so common uses either use it as millicurie or microcurie. This is one way of representing the units. Okay, the SI unit of radioactivity is becquerel. The SI unit is becquerel, 1 BQ. Okay, it is actually equal to 1 disintegration per second. 1 disintegration per second. Okay, but 1 becquerel is very small quantity. See, 1 disintegration per second means it will be almost a very small quantity. But a strong tradition of Curie is more. But nowadays they are started using Siemens also. Okay, Siemens is another unit for representation of radiation. Okay, so this is about a short history of radiation. And if you see the production of radioisotopes in India, as far as India is concerned, okay, so mainly we have actually a Mumbai, we have a board. So BRIT, it is Board of Radiation and Isotope Technology, Board of Radiation and Isotope Technology, Mumbai. They are responsible for standard production of isotopes as far as India is concerned. So actually these are made of neutron irradiation in a nuclear reactor. Okay, so you can remember the Baba Atomic Research Center. We have two nuclear reactors, so Apsara and Cyrus. Okay, so these are the two nuclear reactors which actually processed by the isotope group of BARC Mumbai. They produce isotopes. Apart from that, for research purpose, okay, we have two particular institutes. One is the variable energy cyclotron in Calcutta, which is in Calcutta. Two other reactors for research purpose. Another one is the Pelletron facility, which is available in our Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, Mumbai. Okay, they are particularly producing radioisotopes for research purposes. Okay, so this is where we stop our discussion on basics of radioisotopes. So what we have seen in this session is what is radioactive, what is an atomic number, what is a mass number. Okay, and we have seen the history of radioactivity. Who are the pioneers, starting from Roentgen, Pierre Curie, Marie Curie, the contributions by Rutherford, then the contribution by the daughter of Pierre and Marie Curie, as well as the first artificial radioactivity. Okay, then we discussed about the basic laws of radioactivity, fundamentally the first law of radioactivity. We also gave you the definition of half-life. Okay, and later we touched upon the units. Okay, and in India, where these type of radioisotopes are, which is a governing body which is monitoring the production of radioisotopes in India. Okay, so in this section we'll actually start with the measurement of radiation. Thank you.